Good afternoon and good evening for the ones that are following this session virtually from other parts of the world. My name is Emir Sirage and I'll be the host of this session, today's event. We are here presenting the Portuguese Presidency of Eureka for 2021-2022 and presenting this series of events that we call Eureka Meets the Atlantic through space, ocean, earth, collaborative research and innovation. This is in the context of Ciência 2021 that this year takes place under the Portuguese presidency of the Council of the European Union. On behalf of the Portuguese Presidency of Eureka, we would like to thank FCT, the Foundation for Science and Technology, Ciência Viva, the Parliamentary Committee of Education, Science, Youth and Sports, and of course the Ministry of Science, Technology and Higher Education to support us in doing the event here. This year in Ciência 2021, the theme is about science that builds tomorrow and transforms the economy. So this comes well in line of what is today here, this event where we are announcing the Eureka presidency and the series of Eureka Meets the Atlantic. This event today, it's a first of a series of events, as I said, and we want to be an international platform for dialogue between companies, project ideation, in future events, hopefully, and starting from this event, so that some business partnerships could come out of the networking that could happen from the events. And of course, this aligned also with the agenda that will be the Eureka Presidency of Portugal, that is a greener, digital and healthier planet that you're going to hear Miguel Bello explain in more detail. With no further ado, because we have an agenda, tight agenda, I will present a video that celebrates the kickoff of the presidency, and then after, please Miguel, you come to the stage to take over and present the strategy of Portugal for the next year with Eureka. Thank you everyone, and please.
The largest global cooperation network, uniting the world. A new business era. Space, ocean, earth interactions. Tackling present and future challenges. A greener, digital and healthier planet, where sustainability leads to a brighter future. A world united by collective research and innovation for economic progress. New achievements, so no one is left behind. Job creation through new market opportunities, led by cutting-edge projects. Welcome to a groundbreaking and sustainable approach for economic growth. Eureka meets the Atlantic.
Thank you very much, Emir. Good afternoon, everybody. As Emir said, I'm Miguel Bello. I'm the CEO of the EAR Center, Atlantic International Research Center, which is a non-profit organization to develop scientific and technological application in the area of the Atlantic, with headquarters in Azores Island in Terceira. And we are on the chairmanship of Portugal, of Eureka, in a close collaboration with FCT, with ANI, and with people from other institutions to help us reach in all the sectors of the Portuguese economy. I'm going to introduce which is the strategic lines of Portugal during this year of chairmanship. Well, the presentation will see first which is the framework in which we are going to have this chairmanship. We're going to present the main line and the work which has been already done, because we already started working and there have been already some activities. We will present which is the theme and also which is our agenda. Well, we have as motto, innovation for a greener, digital and healthier planet through collaborative approach. This is not the first time that Portugal gets the presidency of Eureka. This is the third time. The first two chairmanships, Portugal was always looking to increase the outreach of the organization. Mainly the first year was looking to Asia, and the incorporation of South Korea was within those initial presidencies. And we want to continue with this as one of the main strategic lines, to increase the global outreach, to go far beyond Europe to the other continents. Also, the moment where Portugal is taking the presidency is just after the presidency of the European Commission and just simultaneous with the co-presidency of the European Space Agency. We're going to take profit of those synergies to do our strategy for the Eureka network. What is the strategic framework? On one side, the previous presidency was Austria. Austria did a great job. We were closely working with them in the last year. There is a troika of the current presidency, the past and the future. We were during the last year working closely with them, and that means we are already starting working in the direction of the line of strategy that I'm going to tell you, and we will continue this work originally started by Austria. We also will follow the Eureka strategic roadmap for 2021 to 2027. Another important aspect is the moment where we get the presidency. We are at the end of the pandemic. Hopefully this is the end, and that means we need to recover. Then we get the presidency in a recovery period. It's a period where innovation is more needed than ever for the recovery of those jobs. That means we have a unique moment for our presidency. And the last part is the pandemic will be over soon because of the vaccination. But there are challenges we have which are there and which remain there. The challenge of the sustainability, climate change, biodiversity, all those problems remains. Then we like to take care of this, and which is very much in line with the European Union objective of the Green Deal and with the Horizon Europe missions. That means this is also one of the main strategic framework where we're going to move and will drive some of our strategic lines. Well, we have 5 main lines. The first one is to increase the global outreach of Eureka, as I said, has always been the very first priority of Portugal in the past, and continue being the very first priority of Portugal. The second one is enhance new form of collaboration and new forms of effective R&D. The third is the strength the Eureka position is by reinforcing the mechanism of new projects. The fourth is adding value to the Eureka label. And the last one is to continue with the restructuring of the Secretariat. And the Secretariat is the staff of Eureka who manage the project. It's staff about 30-40 people, which is working from Brussels. We have the honor to have today George Elise, which is one of the staff of the Secretariat. And the idea is to continue the work performed by Holland and Austria to restructure the Secretariat. Well, regarding the first line, increase the global outreach, where, as I said, in the past, Portugal was looking to Asia very successfully. Now we're going to look to the Atlantic. That's why we opened this series of events, Eureka Meets the Atlantic. We're looking to Africa, and we're looking to America. In Africa, we're highly interested in countries like Nigeria and some other that we'll see later on. And in America, we're highly interested in Brazil, one of the largest economies in America, which is not yet a member, not yet associated member of Eureka. That's an important goal that we have in our presidency. There is a type of project called Global Star, which is projects open with this type of countries that you want to involve, and we will use this mechanism to go toward those countries. And we also want to promote links with high innovative organizations that never did or did a very low work together with Eureka, like the European Space Agency, which is one of our main targets. In fact, as far as yesterday, we have a dinner with one of the directors of ESA. We are preparing a memorandum of understanding to start collaborating with the European Space Agency to close links between different innovation agencies. Well, what has been done so far? What we did so far, Austria started a working group for Africa, and we are pushing this working group. Now the presidency moved to us, and we will chair the meeting for that. And the idea is to identify those countries to do business together, so that the industries from the Eureka member and from Portugal can make business with industries in the main African countries. We identify some interesting one. South Africa is already there. South Africa is our bridge. We will use South Africa because it's already associate member of Eureka. South Africa is also a member of the Air Center. We have, in fact, the responsible of the Eureka is the same that responsible from the Air Center. That means we have a very good close link with them, and we will use the help of South Africa to reach those countries. Which one? What, Nigeria. Why Nigeria? You know, Nigeria has 211 million people. 1 out of every 5 Africans are from Nigeria. They have good resources and in one of the largest economies. That means Nigeria will be one of our targets. But also countries in North Africa, like Morocco, Egypt. The Minister of Innovation of Morocco announced that they will join the Air Center soon. That means we have also very good links with them, and that will be the target. In fact, within this working group, we are responsible, and Emir is responsible for preparing a global star call with those countries. The second thing, as I said, is to close with ISA. We already started this. We already started a link between the clusters, Celtic and ISA. We already participated in common events, and we are about to sign an MOU with the European Space Agency. I mean, this is work already done in this direction. The second line is enhance new form of cooperation. As I said, we want to closely work with the European Union in the Horizon mission, in the line of the Horizon Europe and the mission of the Horizon Europe. Eureka is very different to Horizon Europe. The European Union is a top-down approach. There are some topics, and the companies, the industry research center, make proposals from given topics. In Eureka, it's bottom-up. It's up to the industry to define their strategies, and they define. We can put the strategic lines, we can make call in a given direction, but it is up to the companies and the research centers which come with ideas. It's quite different. Another important thing that we are going to do is within the Portuguese Presidency, we are going to sign the Eurostar 3 program. Eurostar 3 program may be the most important program of Eureka. This is a program together with the European Union for SMEs. It's a project where the European Union make a top-up and contribute economically for the financing of the project. The size that we are negotiating is about 250 million. The negotiation was started by the Austria presidency, and we will take over now from 1st of July. In fact, we already did it because the official transfer of the chairmanship was celebrated 10 days ago in Vienna. And we are negotiating with the European Union. The signature of this big event will be the closing of the Eurostar 3 program. And we also want to incorporate those as another way to new form of cooperation, as I said before, incorporate new members. Well, what we did in that line? Well, we are closely working in the elaboration of the proposal for the Eurostar 3 program. Eurostar 3 programs is a negotiation with the European Union, but works like a grant, that it's a call that we have to answer with a proposal. Then we are part of the drafting team, which are written the proposal, which is quite complex. Rita Silva from ANI is member of this group, and she's having a great job in doing that. We already sent a preliminary version of the proposal being analyzed by the European Commission to refine and to be officially sent by the end of the month. This is one of the most important activities we're saying, because it is about 250 million of financing for our companies. In parallel, we already work with the internationalization. We already are working with Brazil. We already got contact with FINEP. There, we are together with Spain working for the potential future incorporation of Brazil, which will be a big challenge into Eureka. And we're also working with the reassociation of countries which are closely linked to Eureka, like Canada, South Africa. In fact, Singapore recently signed. Singapore signed just less than 1 month ago as a new member of Eureka. Well, the third line is to strengthen the Eureka positioning by reinforcing the mechanism for generation of projects. Eureka has different types of projects. There is a set of projects in the clusters. There are several clusters in different domains, in electronics, in software, in production, and those clusters in the past were very isolated. Now there is a new mechanism for the cluster. We fully support the new strategy for cluster. There are new governing bodies. We are chairing those governing bodies. Emir and Rita are chairing those bodies, and it is a completely different mechanism that joint calls can be used so that clusters start working together. And those joint calls are in different directions. And we want to focus joint calls towards sustainability, towards Earth, ocean, space interactions, towards artificial intelligence combined with Earth observation so that our companies can develop new products and new services, which at the end is for the well-being of the citizen. Then they are working strongly on that. And in Eureka, there are all types of companies. There are startups, SMEs, large companies, and research centers. I mean, all type of companies and research centers are part of that. And what we did in this direction? In this direction, we are promoting a special call, which is called Accelerated Sustainability, towards sustainability. And we have a very good reaction from our partners. We proposed this, and it has been very well received by many countries, by Canada, Germany, Belgium, Sweden, Luxembourg, Finland, Netherlands, and UK, but also on the clusters. That means most likely this is going to be the next call to be open, and it's open because of our initiative, because of the Portuguese initiative to go to sustainability. This is already part of the work that we are now doing as chairman of Eureka. Well, the next line is adding value to the Eureka label. Eureka has advantages. Eureka is bottom up. It's easier for the company to define their own strategy. They don't have to fit to whatever else has defined. They can go the way they want to go. The bureaucracy is lower. I mean, there are many advantages, and we have to make sure that we differentiate Eureka because it is different to other funding mechanisms for innovation with many advantages. And we want to add value as well by organizing a global innovation summit in Lisbon. We will organize in next June a big fair. This type of events normally call 1,000, 2,000 people with all countries, all 49 countries of Eureka has presence to show, which is this global innovation summit. In parallel, we also want to organize a ministerial meeting. There is no ministerial meeting every year. There's one every 5 years. But we'd like to have one ministerial meeting by summer next year. This is for several reasons. There is a need to change the statutes. The statutes become obsolete. And we are moving to change them. One of the things we want to do is countries outside Europe, like Singapore, South Korea, South Africa, Canada, they are in the association, they pay, but they don't have voting rights. And they cannot be in the governing bodies. Then we want to modify that because we want to motivate those countries outside Europe. And the way to do that is to incorporate them and not have two categories of members, European members and non-European members. This needs a ministerial conference. And also because we really want to stress to put emphasis on the recovery and that we may have momentum through ministerial. This is in our line of activity. Well, what we did already is Austria organized a global innovation summit in Graz, and we were very active in this innovation summit. We organized a special session called Space, Ocean, Earth Interaction for a Sustainable, Innovative and Safe Society that were led by Portugal. We also participate actively on the plenary sessions. On one on the COVID crisis, and another one, Joana Mendoza, president of ANI, she presented at the Eureka funding agencies at the high-level meeting. That means we were very active in this one, and we're already working through the Global Innovation Summit for 2022 and for Eureka Ministerial. The last line is the restructuring of the Secretariat. In that line, we like to continue with this, measuring the efficiency, measuring the impact, having a sustainable financial model for the Secretariat. And in that direction, we were very active looking for a new managing director. There will be a new managing director called Britt Helle. She's from Norway, working in EFTA in the past, and she's going to join the Secretariat 1st of September. That means within our presidency, we have this change of managing director. And as I said, we will be we were heavily working for the Eurostar 3 negotiation, together with articulation with the new head. And we also want to face some financial issues on the Secretariat. We like to have a kind of reserve. So far, Eureka is working with few reserves, and we believe that financially we should make it stronger and more solid by increasing the reserve of the Secretariat. Well, we selected the executive board, executive group, which are the governing bodies of Eureka. On the executive board is Austria and Portugal as the past and the current chair. We have Hungary, Spain, Estonia, Turkey, and Switzerland in the executive board. In the executive group, we have, apart from Austria and Portugal, we have Hungary, Turkey, Estonia, Croatia, and we invited as observers United Kingdom, Spain, Netherlands, and Germany. Those are the countries, together with us, that will manage the governing bodies of Eureka. Well, the team. This is the team. Well, most of the team is here. I'm proposed as chairman. Anna Neves is deputy chairwoman. And we have, as high-level representative of Portugal, the high-level representative of the country is Professor Paulo Ferrão, who is replacing Eduardo Maldonado, who you know that retired. And the deputy HLR is Professor José Paulo Esperanza, from Vice President of SCD. And the chair for the NPC, and NPC stands for National Project Coordinator, is Emir Sirage, and the deputy chair is Rita Silva. And we have the support as deputy for National Project Coordinator of Paulina Pereira, João Ferreira, and we have in the strategic line the support of João Bentes here. In addition, we have Luis Silvestre, which is helping us in all related with communication, together with Ines Mezquita, who is a science communicator advisor. We have the support of Teresa Tavares and Andrea Kuntz for all the organization, logistic, and events. And in the secretariat, we have Alessandra, and Jaisa Rosa is also helping for all the sport activities. And we have a person for the Risk and Audit Committee. It's called Aurora Batista. This is very important because Portugal has the chairmanship, but also the responsibility of everything which happened in the organization. That means we have to be very careful that everything is done correctly according to the, well, we are established as a Belgian entity according to the Belgian law, and there is a Risk and Audit Committee, and we will have one person in this Risk and Audit Committee will be nominated in the very first event board of our presidency, which is going to be in Brussels in 13th of July. Aurora Batista will be part of that. But we need more people for our team because we need to reach all the sector of the industry. We want a deep involvement. In our line of activity, we talk about space, about ocean, but this is not about us. I mean, we need also agriculture. We need also biotechnology. We need also health. We need to reach other segments of the industry because this is for all the industry. And we have a team of key people which help us to motivate this sector and to reach this sector, which is Hugo Costa, Patricia Calado, Ana Cortin, Mafalda Durado, José Carlos Caldeira, Elena Silva, João Silva. They will help us to reach all those sectors of the industry that we want to get involved. Well, to finalize, this is our agenda. And we have a set of meetings, which are the normal meetings expected in Eureka, which is meeting of the executive board and executive group. There will be 4 of them. Some of them will be in Brussels, and we propose to have one in Algarve in September. There will be network meeting, which is larger meeting with all the members, which is for the National Project Coordinator and the high-level representative. There we plan to have one in Porto, one in Azore Island, and one in Lisbon. Then, as I said, the ministerial meeting and the Global Summit will be in June next year. And a set of events to implement our strategy in Eureka Mid-Atlantic. Then this set of events is going to be all around the Atlantic. This is the first one in Lisbon. It's the presentation of the presidency, but then there is a sequence of events. Next one we plan for Boston. The idea is to do it at MIT, to link American companies with European and Portuguese companies to work together to help in the internationalization. And in fact, we want to get the support. There was an interesting questionnaire sent by the Secretariat to which countries are interesting to work with. And United States was ranked number 1. I mean, it's one of the most important targets, and it is in the Atlantic, it's in our line of interest. We also thinking on Cape Town. South Africa is one of the most important members of the Eureka, and Cape Town is going to be another target. In fact, we organize at Air Center high-level dialogues in different countries. This country was in Cape Town. They will combine the high-level dialogue meeting of the Air Center combined with the Eureka Mid-Atlantics on Cape Town. We're going to continue in Rio. Brazil is another important target, and we'll finalize in Oslo, is the idea in Norway. Well, this is the agenda. This is the webpage of our presidency. It's already open. It was open yesterday, Emir, and that means please go visit it, and probably you will still find some gaps. Hopefully there's not much. It is recently open. And thank you very much for your attention. This is the strategy that we wanted to present. was clear, Emir.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you for the detailed presentation. We have a challenging agenda that certainly will need the support from the Eureka Secretariat to fulfill this agenda, from the member countries that hopefully are following us online on the streaming of the event. They are 49 countries of the network. And of course, also in the end of the day, as Miguel said, what is important through this presidency to have good projects between companies, that Portuguese companies, and these companies could interact with several of the countries of the network and follow the events, the agenda that we have. Next speaker in the agenda is the outgoing chairman of Austria, Ulrich Schuh. He could not be here present today, unfortunately, but as Miguel said, we'll continue to work closely with Austria, and I'll ask the technicians to show a video that Ulrich will present now, and the title is "The Role of Eureka in a Defined Post-COVID Area."
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my ideas on the future of R&D and innovation policies after the COVID pandemic, and especially the role of the Eureka network. During Austrian chairmanship, Eureka celebrated its 35 years anniversary, and at the same time, Eureka has reinvented itself. New programs will be launched, the global outreach will be extended, and new forms of cooperation will be introduced. Of course, the Austrian Eureka chairmanship has been heavily affected by the COVID pandemic. COVID has not only determined our lives for 1.5 years, but certainly will have a permanent impact on our societies and economies. It will therefore also imply the need to rethink strategies for R&D and innovation policies. In my view, the pandemic has taught us 3 lessons. First, we have learned that today's foremost challenges, like the pandemic or climate change, can only be addressed at the global level and via global cooperation. We have witnessed a decade of increasing inward orientation of the big economic blocs, which resulted in a slowdown of globalization and more protectionist policies. COVID has and will reverse this trend. Here we have the first direct link to the present configuration of the Eureka network. Starting from a Western European initiative launched in 1985, Eureka has now become a truly global organization. Eureka currently has 48 member states plus the European Commission as member number 49. And I'm very proud to announce that Singapore has recently joined the Eureka network during the Austrian chairmanship. After 35 years, the underlying principle of Eureka is more relevant than ever. We need global cooperation in innovation to master the challenges of today. Eureka offers the unique opportunity to allow for international cooperation in innovation for small and medium-sized enterprises. The entry barriers for participation are extremely low. As we use existing infrastructure at the respective national level, there is only a minimum of 2 firms coming from 2 different countries necessary to start a project. In principle, no longer-term budget commitments are needed, and it offers the possibility to cooperate with all 47 member states, but also beyond that with all countries worldwide. The second lesson we have to draw from COVID pandemic is that we cannot perfectly foresee and forecast the challenges of the future. Nobody would have imagined the dimension and scale and the consequences of the pandemic. Therefore, a strict top-down strategy for R&D and innovation policies can never work. This relates to the bottom-up principle that Eureka applies. As a rule, Eureka programs and instruments support innovative projects in all thematic fields as long as they address non-military purpose. This allows Eureka to react to new developments and challenges. The third lesson I think we have to draw from the pandemic is we need to be able to react fast and flexible, and especially to bring forward the solutions needed. Here, the tradition of Eureka builds on two very important elements: decentralized management and variable geometry. First, decentral management. As a rule, Eureka uses national funding agencies and national rules for implementing the cooperative innovation projects. It thus uses and provides access to an existing well-functioning infrastructure for supporting innovation on a global level. This allows to use synergies with existing national funding programs and usually implies that only marginal costs for implementation arise. Second, we have variable geometry. As a rule, cooperation within Eureka requires the cooperation of a minimum of only 2 different companies coming from 2 different member states. The critical mass to start a project cooperation is extremely low. This results in an enormous degree of flexibility and results in the ability to easily experiment, test, and establish new programs and instruments. A very bright example in this respect is the Innovite program, which has been implemented by a subset of Eureka members and the Eureka Secretariat on behalf of the European Commission. It turned out to be a success model and will be continued under Horizon Europe. By organizing thematic cores, Eureka shows its ability to contribute to the solutions of the main societal and economic challenges of today. Already at the beginning of 2020, Eureka organized a call within the network on projects dealing with the COVID pandemic. Thematic cores are a very effective way to present the activities of Eureka to stakeholders and make our work better visible to the public without threatening our bottom-up principle. Eureka can proudly refer to a success story which now already lasts for 35 years. But we must also commit that we obviously do not fully exploit the full potential that this network certainly has. Main reasons why Eureka has not used its potential were the lack of visibility to potential customers and failing to better exploit synergies within its network. The current renewal of our cluster instrument is a bright example of how Eureka will improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the network in the future. Up to now, Eureka clusters have been organized around 7 fairly independent communities and cluster offices. The new Eureka cluster program will establish a highly coordinated cooperation among all existing cluster communities. But it will be open also to new communities entering this instrument. A common multi-annual work plan will be developed and will be implemented by an annual work program. We will organize synchronized thematic cores that will prove the ability of Eureka to contribute to the solution of the most pressing challenges at the global level. As a pilot, the Eureka clusters have already organized a synchronized call on artificial intelligence. By organizing these thematic cores, Eureka shows its ability to react fast and to contribute to the solutions we need. And here I make reference to the COVID-19 pandemic core that I already mentioned. Thematic cores are an effective way to present the activities of Eureka to stakeholders and make our work better visible to the public without threatening the bottom-up principle. The use of decentralized infrastructure is one of the strengths of the Eureka network. However, by better coordinating the different activities, substantial synergies can be exploited. This we want to achieve by improving the cooperation between cluster offices, introducing a common new internet platform for all instruments, and also use the opportunity for coordination among national agencies. Meanwhile, Eureka has become a truly global network. Austria, as a small open economy, has supported to intensify and extend the global outreach of Eureka, and I assume the incoming chair of Portugal will do so also. One specific characteristic of Eureka cooperation is that the activity of one member state is to the benefit of all members. There exists strong positive externalities of activity. Currently, we are preparing a Eureka Global Stars call with African countries coordinated by our associate member, South Africa. With our Global Stars instruments, we open the window for international cooperation far beyond the already high number of our member states. And we have bright examples of very successful Global Stars calls in recent time, for example, with India or Singapore. We want to invite public authorities, industries, and especially SMEs to use the potential of the new Eureka Austria has introduced as a platform for international cooperation for the mutual benefit of all partners involved and finally for all global societies. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you to Austria. Thank you to the Austrian chairmanship, and it was very, very active during the last year, and now it's time to Portugal to take over. And we will, of course, as I said, follow the challenging agenda that Miguel presented. So just to retain three points of the presentation from Ulrich, I think the ones that didn't know about Eureka. So global cooperation, first word or takeaway, flexibility, and scalability. I think these are three key takeaways from part of the message that Ulrich said. So advancing to the next panel, it's a round table with a title Showcases of Space, Ocean, Earth Collaborative Research and Innovation. And I would call to the stage Professor Paulo Ferrão and also Tiago Cristóvão. Professor Paulo Ferrão, as Miguel said, is the HLR of Portugal at Eureka, and Tiago Cristóvão is from the company Undersee. The other three speakers of this panel, so Alén Space, Guillermo Lamelas, SPI, Catarina Milhazes, and Florinda Matos from the University Institute of Lisbon, they will participate remotely and they will make their presentations remotely. So I will pass the word to Professor Paulo Ferrão. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emir, for this introduction of the session, which is indeed to showcase examples of space, ocean, earth, collaborative research and innovation. And I would, of course, say under the motto of the Presidency, which is to say for a green, digital and healthier planet through a collaborative approach. And this is why. So we will have a first presentation by Guillermo Lamelas on satellites and looking into the oceans. And then a second presentation on this cooperation, particularly with Africa. And then green and digital are the major topic for the third presentation. And then the last presentation on healthier oceans. So this is a COVID roundtable. It is neither round, well, not all are here, so we only have one person here. So it's a linear table. And of course spread throughout the world. So I would like to invite, coming from the stars and the electrons and the technology, Guillermo Lamelas, which I believe is in Spain. He represents Alén Space. Guillermo, are you there in the sky?
Yes, I am.
Good. So you are very welcome to this session.
Thank you very much. Boa tarde. Well, as said, I'm Guillermo Lamelas, CEO of Alén Space. First of all, thank you. Thank you to the organization for giving me the opportunity to be here. I will start this presentation just letting you know a bit more about Alén Space, my company. Well, at Alén Space, we design, manufacture, and operate constellations of small satellites to put in orbit the solutions required by our clients. Data and services from space have, everybody knows, have every day a bigger impact in our lives. Think of communicating isolated spots, facilitating management of key infrastructures, increasing the safety of our seas and our skies. These are just some examples. You can think of many, many others. There are many companies and institutions that base their business in space, entities that need satellites to get the data or services required to meet all the needs, as you can see on the screen. So far, this was only possible with conventional satellites, huge and expensive devices, very slow to develop. However, small satellites change the game. CubeSats are smaller, of course, but much cheaper. And the most important thing, they have a very short time to market. From the time you decide you need a satellite to the time you have the satellite flying and being operated, less than a year can span. But this is not a matter of size or just price. The point is that for a portion of the price of a conventional satellite, a constellation of small satellites, I mean a group of coordinated satellites, can offer new services in a much more resilient way, meaning that, well, in the case of a conventional satellite, if it is damaged, then you have a problem. In the case of the constellation, if only one satellite or few satellites in the constellation are damaged, the rest of the system is able to cope with the service. And another interesting characteristic of constellations is that every year a part of the constellation, a part of the satellites in the constellation is renewed. In this sense, the constellation is always updated. There is no lifespan related to constellation. It will be always there with the latest technology and with the latest possible services. For you to know a bit more about us and our history, interesting to tell that we are very, very, very linked to the University of Vigo. Somehow we are a spin-off of the University of Vigo. Our team, was involved from the beginning in the first Spanish nanosatellite that was launched in 2012, Bello. And from then, more than 50% of all the Spanish satellites of this kind that have been launched were built by our team. Important to notice, all of them have been 100% successful in all their missions. We have a strong heritage that we have inherited from the University of Vigo, the experience that is in our team, and also the technology, plus the technology we have already developed inside Alén Space. And in this sense, well, as I said, we have launched 5 nanosatellites, fully successful. We are working in new ones, and we have done it collaborating, because collaboration is key when you talk about space. It has been already mentioned. Collaborating with the most demanding space agencies and entities. Well, just in order to summarize what we do, I mean, we help anyone who wants to deploy something in space. I mean, something satellites in space to walk all the path, from the idea to the operation in orbit. We offer the technology, best-in-class technology, hardware and software, and we also offer and we use and we teach a methodology that is based in the quality standards of the European Space Agency. For us, quality is key. Regarding our hardware, and software, our technology, well, we cover many aspects of the ones that are required in a mission. For the rest, well, we collaborate with other companies and institutions to be able to offer the end-to-end solution. And something that is key part of our product is our SDR, our software-defined radio, that is the core of any of our communications satellites. This SDR is able to carry on many different applications and is able to be updated and upgraded while flying, with new applications and new technologies. Based on this SDR that we call Totem, we have already several ready-to-launch solutions. What we mean with ready-to-launch are fully designed solutions that can be built in few months, and that can be flying for anyone who may need it in just a few months. No? As I said, we have solutions for IoT communications, spectrum monitoring, AIS, airplane tracking, and this ready-to-launch solution would suppose, well, the fastest, cheapest, and less risky way to be in the space. No? And more important, at least for the topic we are talking today, we are now working very hard in a new generation payload. No? I could say that it's an evolution of Totem, but it is not. It's totally new, and it intends to be able to cope with the requirements of the new high-demand applications that are going to be deployed. And well, this payload has outstanding computing capabilities. It is highly modular in order to be able to cope with very different requirements. And we have been developing it, having from the beginning 3 applications that are key for our oceans also. Now, these applications are the 5G IoT, I mean, applications that will allow narrow-band communications all over the world, enabling the Internet of Things, also to cover our oceans under the 5G standard. This will ensure, on the one hand, interoperability among satellite and terrestrial networks, and while doing that, it will prompt a standardization of equipment and therefore reduction in the cost of this equipment, facilitating the adoption of this technology and the spreading of it. We have been also taking a lot into account Earth observation from satellite when designing this payload. It's not that it's a payload for Earth observation. I mean, we don't have a camera. We integrate cameras from different partners. What we are doing with our payload is to be able to process the images in order to get actionable information and to send to the ground just actionable information instead of hundreds, thousands of images, most of which don't have relevant data. No? The purpose behind this is, on the one hand, making much faster the process of taking decisions on the base of the images, and on the other hand is to optimize the use of bandwidth, since we are only sending to ground relevant information instead of sending all the photos or the images that are captured by the satellite. No? The last of the applications we are focused, here is the last, but actually it was the first one we took into account when we started to develop this new payload, is the BDSAT application. It's a new standard aiming at boosting the digital transformation of the maritime sector. And now I will focus a bit more on this, and I will do it going through a project, collaborative project called Shipmate, a project that has been funded through a soft loan by the Spanish Ministry of Science and Innovation, and this project is called Shipmate. Okay. The purpose of this project is to solve a problem, limitation of the current automatic identification system. For you to know, throughout the world, networks based on this system, AIS, are deployed to monitor vessel traffic and to detect possible emergency situations. Through this network, information related to the identification of the vessel, of the boat, the ship, its course, its speed, and destination can be obtained. Currently, the installation of onboard AIS terminals is mandatory for all passenger ships and for merchant ships of more than 300 tons. However, AIS has several limitations that we need to overcome in order to leverage on it, in order to leverage on it and boost the digital transformation of the maritime sector. One of the great challenges of the maritime communication is to maintain connectivity at long distances from the coast. The current AIS system only allows communication locally and within a few miles from the coast, 30 miles or so. Maritime traffic away from the coast or transoceanic voyages cannot be monitored using standard AIS. Lately, some initiatives have emerged to receive AIS messages from satellite, allowing the monitoring of ships in the middle of the ocean. However, AIS was not designed to be received by satellites, which makes it very difficult to provide a space AIS service. Furthermore, satellite AIS is unidirectional, so it is not possible to send messages from AIS terminals to AIS terminals from a satellite, missing in this way a great opportunity to provide global bidirectional communications. Moreover, there are some areas where there is such a great vessel concentration that the network is already saturated. You can see in the image the darker red areas and where there is a huge concentration of traffic. If you think that AIS currently is only being mandatory for big ships, well, and we still have this saturation, but it could be very useful for any kind of ship, thinking of safety. VDES, we will see it later, due to its characteristics and having the satellite component, will make it much easier to spread this kind of technology.
Guillermo,
Sorry,
you have 1 minute to conclude. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
I think so. And well, last but not least, AIS has another limitation, and is that it's not secure. I mean, information is not encrypted. In this sense, any beacon sent is received by all the network. Think of the safety concerns, thinking of pirates receiving the position of a ship. No? Well, the solution, VDES. VDES is the solution in the sense that it is encrypted, it is scalable, it has the satellite component, and it is bidirectional, allowing for crossing of information from authorities to ships, from ships to ships, and overcoming all the limitation of AIS. Well, as I said, we are working on this with our partners, Egatel and Gradient. We hope to launch the first demonstrator next year. And well, the impact will be huge, not of our demonstrator, but the impact of this technology. It will be prompt, as I said, and boost the digitalization and transformation of the maritime sector, and will boost the appearance of a lot of new companies and initiatives in order that will try to take advantage of the huge market that this will open. No? As I said, this is a big bet of Alén space, and we think that will for sure add to the sustainability of our oceans and to the sustainability of the economy around our oceans. I hope I have done it in my slot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Guillermo. So now we will look to Sociedade Portuguesa de Inovação, Sara, Medina and Catarina Milhazes, who will, I hope, tell us what can the ENRICH network in Africa do to enrich Eureka. Sara? Or Catarina,
yes.
are you there? Yes, from Portugal,
I hope that
yes.
you can all help me. That you can all hear me, sorry.
It's perfect.
I can hear some echo. I hope this is fine. So, hello, my name is Catarina Milhazes. Sara is not present here today. I am part of the international team at SPI. I will present SPI in a moment, but before that, allow me to thank Eureka, the Eureka team and Annie for inviting us to present the Enrich in Africa project here today. It is a pleasure to be here. SPI is one of the organizations involved in Enrich in Africa. For those of you who don't know us, we are a private consulting company running for 25 plus years now, with the purpose of building and developing the research and innovation sectors. SPI has coordinated and provided expert support on projects across the world in Europe, Asia, North and South America, and Africa. We have offices in Portugal, Spain, the USA, China, and an affiliated office in Brussels. Enrich in Africa is one of the projects. It's one of our project references in the African continent. Enrich in Africa is part of a larger network of Enrich projects. There are similar projects in other parts of the world. Enrich in Africa is somehow the baby in this group. All the other projects contributed and continue to contribute to promoting linkages between Europe and a specific region. As you see here, Latin America and the Caribbean, even though you only see the Brazilian flag because the project started specifically to target that country, the USA and China. Enrich in Africa is a project funded by the European Commission. It is coordinated by a German company called Steinbeis 2i, who leads a consortium of 12 partners, both European and African organizations, and SPI is one of those organizations. The project is fairly recent. It started in January this year. Besides the links that it has with other Enrich projects, Enrich in Africa also builds on the results of another pilot initiative, the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership, also identified by the acronym AEIP, which has been working across Africa for the past few years. This AEIP initiative is coming to a conclusion very soon, and the Enrich in Africa project will continue, improve, and enlarge some of the outcomes of that initiative. The final conference of the AEIP initiative is happening today and tomorrow for those of you interested. Enrich in Africa very much resonates the purposes of the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership in supporting and connecting the innovation ecosystems of Europe and Africa, and in building mutually beneficial partnerships and networks between these two continents. The project will achieve these two main purposes through or by supporting the EU-Africa intercultural innovation and knowledge exchange, by connecting European and African incubation and acceleration ecosystems to foster innovation and co-creation, and by reducing barriers to internationalization for startups and SMEs. This slide represents or has the map of all the organizations behind the implementation of the Enrich in Africa project. We have 5 African organizations and 7 from Europe. One of the goals of Enrich in Africa is to create a sustainable business center, which will be supported by a digital hub. This will be the Enrich in Africa Center. It will connect incubators, innovation facilitators, investors, entrepreneurs, and other type of stakeholders. The idea is to generate an aggregating model within the African innovation ecosystem rather than a competing model. That's something that we have seen across the many hubs that exist in the continent today. The ENRICH in Africa Center will be located in an African city. Its specific location has already been decided and will be made publicly shortly, most probably yet this week. It will be supported, as I was saying, by a digital hub, which also aims to facilitate remote interaction, not only across the African continent, which is a huge continent, but also with European stakeholders. The center will provide services to incubators and entrepreneurs, and also foster a community of practice involving local actors from academia, civil society, and local authorities. The three groups of stakeholders we will interact with throughout the project and through the center will be incubators and accelerators, innovation facilitators, and innovators and entrepreneurs. The first group of incubators and accelerators will be supported through a community that we have established. It is the ENRICH in Africa Champions. This is a membership-based network. We currently have 20 champions and aim to reach 100 by the end of the project. Champions are selected on an open application procedure. We have a balanced group of both continents, both European and African champions, and are giving equal opportunities for European and African organizations. These champions are supported by the project team, namely in providing their services to the clients, which are here the third group, innovators and entrepreneurs. To give you an example of the kind of work they provide and the services they provide, we had applications opened just until yesterday for 2 soft landing programs developed by 2 of these ENRICH in Africa champions. One of the program was is to support, it's going to happen yet, to support European companies interested in expanding to Africa. The other one was for African companies interested in expanding to Europe. Finally, the second group here in the middle gathers those identified as innovation facilitators, those that support the business and innovation landscape, which includes academia, civil society organizations, and local authorities. This is the current map of ENRICH in Africa champions. As I mentioned, 10 European and 10 African. This map is also available on the project website, and you can check the profile of each of the champions. These are the champions supported by our project. And for the moment, they are 20, as I mentioned, but they will be much more. And we aim to reach the number of 100 champions by the end of the project. Many of those have between 15 and 20 years of experience working in Europe and Africa, so are exactly the kind of organizations that we aim to have supporting startups and SMEs. One of the ways to engage with ENRICH in Africa is through the ENRICH in Africa community on a platform called Bureaucracy. This is a platform developed by BPI France, which is our partner in the project. This is open to companies, investors, any kind of stakeholders interested in knowing more about European and African innovation ecosystems. In this community, the project team promotes and organizes e-pitches, open deals, webinars, and other activities. And we also have a discussion section where any member can post about their upcoming activities, but also where we regularly post about relevant news, reports, and articles about the entrepreneurship landscape in Europe and Africa. And finally, you can also engage with us through our social media and through the project website. I'll stop here, hoping that this has given you an overview of what ENRICH in Africa, what the ENRICH in Africa project offers, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we will now turn to Professor Florinda Matos from ISCTE, which let us know how to make the transition to a greener and digital economy. I'm sure I will have no problem in monitoring the time of this presentation. Is that okay?
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you very well.
Okay. I think you can hear me. I will start. I want to express my sincere thanks for inviting me to this important event. It is really a great honor, and I would like to address a special salute to the organizers, all the speakers, and the moderator, Professor Paulo Ferrão. I also greet the people attending to this session. In my short statement, I will speak about my vision for the transition to a green and digital economy and the imperative of international collaboration. The digital economy and the green economy are the most important subjects on the environmental policy agenda in the last years. The basic idea of the digital economy is the use of technologies such as AI, machine learning, Internet of Things, sensors, satellites, drones, etc., to enable a new kind of economy. This creates impacts and opportunities in every aspect of our lives, such as communications, transportation, education, productive processes, and business, with both positive and negative effects. With the growth of digital economy, the international community has been looking for solutions for a more sustainable society, where the economy, the environment, and people can find balance points. Green economy is a sustainable economy capable of creating human well-being while reducing environmental risks and preserving resources for the future. The green economy and the digital economy are thus two models of global policies that intersect in the necessity of reconstructing a green digital political agenda, integrating the issues of sustainability in the digital economy. In a simple way, the green economy calls for the development of sustainable business that can meet the financial goals of organizations without harming the environment. Merging the digital economy and the green economy has become a global imperative. The technologies, if can support the development of the green economy in several areas. For example, decrease in the environmental impacts of production, processes, and distribution chains, improving energy efficiency, water costs, reducing CO2 emissions, monitoring product life cycles. Optimizing the consumption of goods and services that can be fully or partially replaced by virtual products through the dematerialization of numerous activities. Reducing the social impacts resulting from changes in the behavior of citizens, namely by providing knowledge that facilitates decision-making, supporting public policies and governances, helping to reduce inequalities. But How can we achieve these goals? The answer is collaborating and cooperating internationally. Overcoming these challenges will require a new knowledge and therefore investment in science, research and development will require dialogue between research institutions, governments, the business system and society in general. Will require shared knowledge and not closed in circles, groups or lobbies. Open access to data has to really be implemented and not be dependent on the financial capacity of those who want to use the data. Will require multidisciplinary, institutional and global collaboration in teaching and science. Will require alignment with the principles of international climate agreements, including mainly the Paris Agreement. Will require alignment of global political strategies, regardless of political beliefs, supporting long-term, low-carbon strategies and business transformation, and finally will require good governance and the partnerships with governments and institutions. We cannot think a two-speed world with developed countries versus less developed countries. The recent economic crisis and currently the COVID pandemic demonstrate that only by thinking and joining efforts globally we can have success. The Earth rotates at the same speed, but digital and green development is implemented in countries depending on their economic capacity and how they are governed. A green economy requires a global strategy that, in my view, has three fundamental pillars: investment in education, science and health, especially in the less developed countries. We cannot want to reduce global carbon emissions, energy or water consumption when a large part of the world does not have clean drinking water or food to meet the most basic needs. Despite efforts to contain climate change, carbon dioxide emissions continue to rise. As a result, countries and companies urgently need to mobilize and commit to a greener future. Governments must not only care for today's citizens, but also care for future generations. In Europe, we must return to European values, where the importance of business does not exceed the importance of people, and people are placed at the center of decisions. Despite cultural diversity in Europe, we have common ties that allow us to collaborate and trust each other. Europe as the cradle of the development of the economic science. Remember, for example, Adam Smith, David Ricardo, or Malthus. Also, it was Europe that was the cradle of the Industrial Revolution. So, Europe must be the driving force behind the European Green Deal revolution, inclusive and centered on people. We need to change the way we live to be more sustainable, but above all, we need to put people and their well-being, present and future, at the center of decisions. I would like to leave a message of positivity and hope. We are indeed facing great challenges, but we have already proved that together we can. The secret is to cooperate, collaborate, share, transform, and change. And I went with a quote from the Secretary General of United Nations. We must consider the type of world that we want the next generation to live in. We must work together so that the digital space that they inherit is safe, fair, and inclusive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your highly motivational speech. And now, in order to finish, I would like to invite Tiago, which is really present in the session, to go to the presenting station and to do his presentation on ocean data and economic and environmental driver. And I am sure that it's also for the people.
Posso? Exatamente. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tiago Cristóvão, and I'm the COO of Undersee. Undersee is a startup, a Portuguese startup that started in 2016 with the objective to provide water quality monitoring and forecast to environmental entities and aquaculture companies. One of the main issues that we have identified is the difficulty to monitoring and forecast algae blooms. These are some numbers of the impact of harmful algae blooms across Europe, Chile, and Norway. The main source of the losses come from aquaculture and, of course, salmon production. And we believe that with the right monitoring and forecast capabilities, we can minimize some of these values. So why are we not at the moment completely monitoring and forecasting these events around the world? So the main difficulty is that monitoring water quality requires a lot of human interaction, human intervention regarding calibrating and cleaning sensors. So every time that you want to make a large campaign to monitor, it requires a lot of people, and so it's very expensive. Due to these two factors, the technology and the human intervention, we believe that is not scalable enough for the problem that we are tackling. So we have developed and are now providing a monitoring solution that is able to scale, requiring based on the need. So the way that we have done it is to develop the next generation of water quality monitoring solutions that is a ferry box. So a ferry box is equipment that monitors the water in moving platforms like ships of opportunity. They can be oceanographic research vessels or vessels that are using by transporting goods. We can also install the same devices on stationary platforms like aquaculture cages or monitoring towers. All the data goes to the cloud, and we provide data to our clients and alerts. And the main difference between our equipment and traditional monitoring equipments relies on the way it works. So what our green box does as an hydraulic system that pushes the water in, monitors and pushes the water out, that makes sure that our clients don't need to make any maintenance of sensors, they don't need to do any calibration, or they don't need to collect data and input it on an Excel. We do it as an end-to-end service. This is some of the contracts that we have at the moment. We are monitoring, we are installing IPMA ships, vessels. One of them is the Mário Ruivo, and the others will be cargo ships. We're also monitoring Cacilheiro, which is a ferry that is crossing Tagus River, and we have a monitoring tower in Sado estuary. These data, in a lot of times, is shared between the aquaculture companies and environmental entities. So, and if the client wants, data can be open and will be placed on EMODnet if it so wishes. Again, these are the losses that we are trying to tackle. We believe that one of the reasons why aquaculture is being a little bit held back is because of the environmental reasons, not only the impact that the aquaculture have on environment, but also the impact that the environment has on the aquaculture. And so if we have enough data and monitoring capability, we can at least see where the equilibrium is and making sure that we can produce more fish because we need fish and we are not harming the environment. So this is our objective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tiago. This was really a good example, and I think all the presentations in this session that is showing that the technology is there. So, and even space technology is increasingly available to everyone. So, and of course, what we need now is to make use of cooperation, international cooperation, as provided by Eureka, to transform this technology, these ideas, into great opportunities. So it is certainly very, very exciting times that we have ahead, and will allow us to bridge, well, oceans, ideas, and so create a lot of opportunities. Yeah. You are a great example of that, Tiago. Thank you very much for coming and showing it. Emir, back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Ferrão. Thank you to all the speakers of this session. Thank you, Professor Ferrão, for the great moderation. And we are still on time, so I suggest a break of 10 minutes so that we can then come back to initiate the session, let's say the second session of the day, with last two panels that will start at 15:35. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, good afternoon, good evening again. Thank you for this 10-minute break, and thank you for the participants that are online for your patience. And thank you very much for the participants that are here in the room. Now we are going to panel 2 of the agenda, where there will be a round table where we'll discuss about how international cooperation in R&D and innovation fosters economic growth and sustainability. And we saw in panel 1 the example of 2 companies, one working in space and another working in the ocean sector. And these events are all about this, to listen to the companies, to listen to what the companies are doing in terms of innovation, and how Eureka can be a platform to help with its funding mechanisms to support innovation and global cooperation. So I will be moderating also this panel, and I would like to call to the stage Rita Silva from ANI, that is going to be also Deputy Chair in the Eureka Presidency of Portugal. I would call Sistrade João Mourinho, I hope he's in the room. Ubiware will be doing remote participation through a video, they could not be here. Sparrows, I would call Luís Conceição, thank you. Pelagic Data is a company, also international company from Greece, that as a video is a company that is incorporating here in Portugal and also is working in the ocean sector. And then we'll have a remote participation from a research institution, it's called ISEP, Isabel Praça, that she will join then online. So I'll go now to the table. Okay, as I said, this panel 2 is about understanding how some Portuguese companies invited here today have been benefiting to work with Eureka and its funding instruments, and also the ones that don't know about Eureka, and hopefully they are following us online, and they can work with ANI to enter this global cooperation network and leverage their technologies and innovations. So I would call Rita to the stage to make a presentation how Eureka works in Portugal, so that we have a general understanding about the instruments that are available for companies to develop their innovations. So Rita, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Can I see here? Não se vê aqui? Não? mas consigo mudar aqui os slides. Okay, so I don't know if is this on. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rita Silva. I'm the Portuguese National Project Coordinator for Eureka. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today with you, introducing the Eureka Network, which is, as you have heard before, the world's largest public network for international cooperation in industrial R&D. Okay. Eureka is an intergovernmental network which was established in 1985 by 18 European countries, way before the R&D framework programs of the European Community existed. Portugal was a founding member of Eureka back then. And so this, for a long time, Eureka was the sole structure in Europe for cooperation, for international cooperation in industrial R&D, with the aim of making European economies more cohesive and the societies more resilient. So nowadays we hear about that, and previously it was the same, so we continue this effort into making European economies more resilient, more strong. So nowadays, Eureka has expanded. It comprises 42 countries and the European Commission as a full member, and engages 6 partner and associated countries, extending all over the world. So we have as associated partners Argentina, Canada, Chile, Singapore, which has recently joined Eureka, South Africa, and South Korea. So we have members from North America, from Latin America, from Africa, and from Asia. This is quite a strong feature of Eureka, this global outreach of the network and the possibility that it provides for European companies to cooperate globally. So Eureka promotes and supports bottom-up, market-oriented international R&D projects. It facilitates access to finance, to new markets, and also enables the incorporation of companies and research institutions in global value chains. Eureka is open to startups, to SMEs, to large companies, research institutions, and universities. It provides this innovation ecosystems where large companies collaborate with SMEs, involving also research institutions and universities. It is Eureka, a flexible, a bottom-up, a global outreach network, and it mobilizes public funding from over 45 countries. Eureka is led by the ministries responsible for science, technology, and innovation in these more than 45 countries. So we have the high-level representatives of ministers leading Eureka, leading its strategies, and building forward cooperation. And the good news is that, we've already heard it, Portugal will hold the chairmanship of the Eureka Network between July 2021 and June 2022. So we are aiming to introduce to you this great network and the good possibilities that it provides for companies to expand globally. So this is a scenario of the expansion, of the extent to which Eureka reaches today. We have in green the full members of the Eureka network, and we can see the associated partners and the partner countries of Eureka. And in light blue, we can see the countries with which Eureka has promoted calls. So these are the Global Stars calls. So Eureka has this possibility when there is interest from a specific cooperation with a specific third country to establish and set up calls with these countries. So we can see that these calls have reached so far Japan, China, India as well. There's one call going on with India. It's not enlightened there. Brazil and the US. So moving on and having an overview of the several Eureka instruments, the several Eureka programs, and we can see that Eureka provides several possibilities for cooperation. So starting with the top Eureka network projects, these are very flexible instruments that provides the possibility to two countries to cooperate and submit a proposal at any time they wish. The proposal is then evaluated by both national funding bodies from the countries involved. And the consortia, the entities participating, have the flexibility to build the consortia the way they enjoy, with the technological focus they wish. So this is one instrument. Then we have in orange the Eureka clusters. So the Eureka clusters are structures, thematic clusters that Eureka involves. These are wider consortia led by the large European industry, and we have clusters set up in several thematic areas such as telecommunications. We have Celtic Next. We have in the area of software innovation, ITEA. We have in the area of advanced manufacturing, SMART. We have in the area of electronics, micro and nano electronics, Euripides, and Eurogia also in the area of sustainable energy. So these clusters, we've heard, can set up joint calls between them. There were two calls closing recently, one in artificial intelligence, another one promoted by Eurogia, the Green Transition Call, which we have disseminated largely in Portugal. Let's hope we can have several proposals with Portuguese participation. And then I'd like to refer also Eurostars, Eurostars 3. It will be the third edition of Eurostars, and Eurostars will be launched, this third edition, within our chairmanship. Eurostars 3 will be a European partnership which will be called Innovative SMEs. And Eurostars does give the stage to European innovative SMEs. So they lead these projects. And the governments, for each of the two cutoffs that exists every year, governments of each country dedicate a specific budget to fund their companies. So the next call, and the first call of Eurostars 3, is foreseen for October. The cutoff is foreseen for October this year. The call will open on August, and we'll be disseminating it as well. And do please contact us at the National Innovation Agency, and we can help you set up a strong consortia with other countries. Then Global Stars. Global Stars, as I've mentioned, is the instrument that enables the countries, the Eureka member countries, to set up calls for projects with third countries outside the Eureka network. And it's interesting to know that Portugal, more than half of the projects that Portugal participates in, has cooperation with third countries outside the European Union. Not exactly in Global Stars. We want to launch in the future a first Global Stars calls with Portugal participation, focusing probably on Africa. But this is a very interesting fact, is that more than half of the projects, of the Eureka projects in which Portugal participates, is in cooperation with third countries. And then we have Investorizing. Investorizing is another instrument of Eureka, which prepares companies to introduce themselves to investors. So there is also this concern. So Eureka offers, yes? So Eureka offers international cooperations, new business opportunities for companies, a high degree of flexibility, freedom to create consortia, and also a strong bottom-up approach. Of course, this is the reports that we have from European companies participating in Eureka projects, which show an overall improvement in the competitive position of these entities. As far as funding is concerned in Portugal, although it's true that since 1985, when Portugal started in Eureka, we've had over 370 projects. The truth is that since 2017, with the introduction of the funding from structural funds in Portugal, we've had an increase in the projects submitted and approved and funded. And so this was a very strong element that gave a boost to Eureka in Portugal through the Portugal 2020 program. And we can see that since 2016 to last year, we've had 61 new approved projects with Portuguese participation, an eligible investment of nearly 32.5 million euros, and an approved funding of 21.3 million euros. So there's a new notice being published, probably next week it will be on, and we will also disseminate it largely and hope that companies and research institutions can also apply. This is a notion of the distribution of participation of entities participating in Eureka, and here we can see that SMEs are really the strongest type of entity participating alongside with universities and large companies. The five top technological areas, we can see that most of the projects are focused on ICT, electronics and telecoms. Then right after the environment sector, the biological sciences, followed by industrial manufacturing, material and transport, and finally in the sector of energy technology. And the aim is to expand also these sectors with more participation of Portuguese entities. And finally, the added value reported by Portuguese participants in Eureka projects. So they report they've gained new access to new markets. They have improved their position in global value chains, or have had access to global value chains. They've reported an increase in exports. They've experienced an increase of R&D and innovation capacities. Also, they've enjoyed the opportunity to employ highly qualified human resources. This is a very important aspect also for companies to expand and to gain new expertise. Also, the multiplying effect of collaboration, of international collaboration, with the possibility of these entities to integrate new and wider research and innovation cooperation networks and access new sources of funding. And finally, the enlargement of the company's product portfolio and the ability to establish the cross-selling of solutions. So these are the main aspects that are reported by our companies. And finally, the team at the National Innovation Agency, which works on supporting the Portuguese entities that are interested to engage into these international consortia. Do contact us. We are here to support you, and please, in the recent future, please follow us on our networks, and we are expecting you, and we are expecting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rita, for that detailed presentation, and I hope online there are many companies in Portugal following this event, and you have there the contact points to Annie and the team to support you in Eureka. But let's go now to listen to the companies. They are experiencing the Eureka, how this contributes to their daily work and to their daily development on innovation. So, João, the floor is yours. Thank you.
So first of all, let me thank you for joining this session. I am João Mourinho, Director of Applied Research and Innovation at Sistrade. Sistrade is a 100% Portuguese company in the area of information systems for the industry and services. So this presentation is much about our perspective regarding this program. But first, I would like to start by some base facts regarding innovation. So if we look at that graph, which depicts the GDP per capita of some countries like Britain, France, and China, and India, we can see that something really astonishing happened at around the middle of the 19th century. And what happened is that some countries, let's say some countries' wealth exploded. Why was this? This was mainly due to the Industrial Revolution, which was due to innovation, mostly like the steam machine and after that kind of technology that was developed and applied. So that was the start of, let's say, the dominance of European industry and the enrichment of Europe as a whole. So other base facts. All companies suffer from problems, let's say shortages of human capital, social capital, and financial capital. So most likely they are not capable of innovating at the rate they would like by just themselves. This happens also at country level. So Portugal or Spain or any other country will have a difficult time to have and to generate the amount of innovations that would need to survive in a highly competitive world as we live today. And other fact is that openness is the key to innovation. For example, if we look at Japan, before the middle of the 19th century again, several countries wanted to trade with Japan. So the Americans, the British, they reached the shores of Japan with their boats, and they said, look, we have here some great textiles that you would like, and they would fit good on you. And they would say something like, thank you, we don't need your textiles, please move on or we will shoot your boat. And what happened then is that from internal policies and internal reasons, they decide to open up to the world. And that's when the Japanese started to pick knowledge and ideas from the rest of the world. Till then, they were a very close society. After that, they started to booming. Their economy started, and the industry started to rise. And they are known today by their precision equipments and successful industry. And there is the fact that technology changes very fast, and almost I would say that every day it evolves faster, and so we need to innovate together if we want to win at, let's say, at a world-class level. So there is a need for collaboration and cooperation. So cooperative strategies are fundamental to overcome this type of shortages. And so what companies do, like Systrade, we do strategic alliances and network of alliances, in this case specifically provided by the EUREKA program in the form of innovation projects. So innovation alliances are very important to us because they are a very important form of social capital for us. They allow us to obtain knowledge, to obtain resources, to obtain new ideas and new problems that we can apply our knowledge and our experience to, and of course to scale up innovations. So also globalization brought us the issue that value chains are now supranational, so we cannot change the world, let's say, at the country level. We need to get together with other countries, establish also these ties. So the answer is the strategy that is being implemented at Eureka, which we like a lot. So we need more international collaboration and cooperation so we can scale to implement new paradigms for a better society, for example, what concerns to sustainability and circular economy, and then also to foster the cross-fertilization and create world-class innovation, foster economic growth in a highly competitive world. So now reaching to the end of my presentation, what is our reality? Our reality is that we face problems that require a wide breadth of technologies, of knowledge. If we talk about industry, people think about engineering, but it's not only engineering. We are now facing the rise of the human-centric problems in industry, about workers, about putting industry at the service of people, of the workers, of society. We don't have such breadth of knowledge. We speak about cybersecurity, about new paradigms of production. So we don't have all the capital and the competencies needed to innovate at the pace that we need if we want to survive in international markets. So our strategy is to build, in one hand, build internal advanced R&D capability, and in another hand, to foster this open innovation at the European level to punch above our weight. Let's say that we are an SME, and of course we don't wait a lot. So we have had so far great results with the help of these programs like Eureka and the sub-programs and the clusters. So we have greatly improved the development of highly competitive solutions that are knowledge intensive and that do solve problems that our customers face and predict to be facing, because we are already working in problems that they will predict to be facing in the near future. And of course, this allows us to being competitive while contributing for a better society. For example, speaking about a project, the SPEAR project is a project about energy efficiency in manufacturing. It is a project that is already providing benefits to our partners in the project, industrial partners, and also contributing for us to be more competitive by having a complete industry solution line that is, let's say, circular economy ready. So let me again thank you for this strategy that you want to implement, that it fits us and is very good for us, and we hope to take advantage with you the most we can of it. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are running late, so let's try to comply with the timing. Just as a very quick note, maybe it's interesting to see that graph now with the green revolution, how it would like. I think it will be interesting. So I'll ask the technicians there to put the next speaker, it's Ubiware, with a video recording.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Vitorino. I work at Ubiware as Head of Innovation. Thank you so much for this opportunity of sharing our vision at Eureka Meets the Atlantic. Let me share Ubiware's vision. We are a Portuguese software development SME based in Aveiro in Portugal, and we develop software solutions using new technologies where innovation helps us stand out at the commercial sectors of telecom and future internet, where quality of service and quality of experience are a major requirement from our end users, but also in smart cities, the area of expertise where I work most, where we are improving mobility, energy, and improving the environmental conditions to maximize the quality of life in urban settings. We cannot do this by ourselves, so we leverage on partnerships from Europe and all across the world to make this a reality, because our motto is to create from idea to product, where research and development projects can enable new ideas of features, use cases, or even commercial solutions become a reality through these partnerships and making them available in different cities and regions, not only in Portugal, but all across the world. And that's what we are trying to do with Eureka projects. Let me showcase two of them. One of them is FICARE, stands for Future Intelligence Quality Assurance for Release Enhancement. We are the only entity from Portugal, and we are finishing the project by this year in September because the international project has already ended. The goal is to analyze fireware technology automatically to measure quality of software for IoT platforms for smart cities and industry 4.0. The Spanish and Turkish have focused more on smart cities and industry. Ourselves, we are looking at smart cities within quality of life. So we're looking at open source software, improving the quality, improving the performance, and making sure it's available for commercial solutions while making the improvements available for the open source community. The other project I would like to stand out, which we are coordinating, is called RIOTIS, which stands for Resource Efficient IoT Edge Systems, aiming at maximizing energy efficiency and increased performance in IoT systems at the edge of the mobile networks, meaning closer to the source of data and the devices. Initially, this project had 5 member states and 5 clusters, but at the moment we are running it with the Portuguese and South Korean clusters. We are the coordinators of the project, and we are responsible for the smart parking use case, where together with ProF, we are enabling CCTV cameras and edge computing units to run in our premises, looking at our parking area in our lovely garden in Aveiro and detecting more efficiently the occupancy and making the data available for our visitors and employees to not waste time looking for parking outside. Even though these are innovative projects that really help us grow and stand out and benefit from international cooperations, the logistics from Eureka projects could be improved, because looking now in retrospective, FICARE has already ended and we are still running the project on our own, and RIOTIS could really benefit from the clusters from Sweden, Germany and France as it was envisioned in the proposal. So it's a pity that they didn't get the funding in time and dropped off the project. Nonetheless, we really look forward for R&D cooperation at an international level, and we always look for new opportunities within Eureka and outside in other funding programs. So feel free to get in touch, and we'll be looking forward to collaborating with you, enabling 5G and 6G networks, but also smart city solutions for the different urban environment and requirements. Thank you so much once again for this opportunity. Please enjoy the event and stay safe.
Thank you too. We were interesting to see how a Portuguese company collaborates with a South Korean in the other side of the world. So I would pass the word to Luís Conceição from Sparos, and as we're running out of time, Luís, please be brief. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. First, I would like to thank Annie and Air Center for inviting us to this event. I am the director of R&D in Sparos, and we are a science and technology-driven company, and we work in the area of improving feeding and nutrition for fish, so we are linked to the aquaculture market. And I mean, we deal around the challenges that the aquaculture industry faces in terms of sustainability, and of course we focus more on the biological challenges and also on the environmental ones. Basically, we try to help other companies to feed their fish in a more sustainable way, having of course economic perspective included in it. And of course, these challenges, we try to translate them into business opportunities. And we center our activity around three business areas. One of them is research services, or in other words, contract research, where we assist other companies in improving their processes. We also produce custom feeds for R&D purposes by universities, academia, and also companies. We also have developed a range of feed products, both for the aquaculture market, especially for the small stages, a niche market where we can act, and also for the biomedical market. We produce a feed for a small animal, the zebrafish, which is the second most used model in biomedical research. And the third area, it's nutritional IT tools, where we have developed 2 tools which help companies to optimize their feeding and nutrition of fish. Both the feed products and nutritional IT tools have a strong history of working with the Eureka system, in particular Eurostars. And as a SME, I mean, of course, we have to be innovative, and preferably we have to develop products with unique characteristics. And of course, this implies a strong investment in R&D, and being SME, one of the solutions we found to support this R&D effort is to look for public funding in R&D projects. Eurostars has been a major tool on this, as I mentioned. Also the Portugal 2020 and also Horizon 2020. We have several projects in these mechanisms. Today I will just mention 2 projects from our experience with Eurostars. One of them is the Feednetics 4.0 project, which we have together with the Italian SME. And Feednetics is basically a smart software which intends to help companies to optimize their feeding of the fish, so select the best feeds with the best nutritional composition and also the amounts of feed they should use. So basically, we are bringing biological knowledge, and our Italian partner is bringing some IT capabilities to the consortium. And the other project that we have currently running, it's a project together with a Scottish company, which they are farming cleaner fish, meaning the fish which are fighting a biological tool to fight sea lice, a parasite that affects salmon farming. And basically we are developing with them optimized feed so they can grow this fish with the best quality possible. So, in short, we try to use the Eureka system, in particular the Eurostars projects, to build strong relationships with our customers. So typically our partners in these projects, they are also our customers, our future customers, and we find this to be a good strategy if we want to enter the European and also later the global market. Just to give you an overview, I mean, from our sales, 80% of it is exports at the moment, and our belief is that this should increase. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Luís, and it's interesting to see how we have presence here today, at least 2 examples of companies working on innovation that are tackling the challenges of sustainable food production, that of course will be an issue in the coming years. I'll go through and ask the technicians again to a remote video from Pelagic Data. It's a company that is incorporating here in Portugal, also in the domain of fisheries or sustainable food production. So please, you may put the video.
It is a great honor and pleasure to participate in the conference entitled Eureka Meets the Atlantic Through Space, Ocean, Earth Collaborative Research and Innovation, and congratulations to the organizers and specifically our center for inviting me, and warm wishes for the Portuguese Presidency of Eureka for 2021-2022. The theme of this roundtable, how international cooperation in R&D and innovation will foster economic growth and sustainability, is at the core of what we do at Meridiano Abstrato, a Lisbon-based startup established in 2019 that focuses on maritime affairs and promotes maritime technologies in Europe. One of such innovative technologies is pelagic data systems, a technology that has been created in San Francisco, yet it is applied around the world with particularly emphasis on Europe. It revolves around a compact, solar, cost-efficient vessel monitoring system using GSM connection with superb analytics to combat illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, to protect marine ecosystems, marine protected areas, and the health of our oceans, using ocean-based science, AI, and superb data in doing so. And at the same time, it promotes UN SDG 14, that is life underwater. Vessel monitoring systems are critical in fisheries monitoring, yet high cost limits their use in small-scale fisheries. The new EU legislation coming in force in 2021 will make VMS for small-scale fisheries obligatory, and many vessels in the EU must be equipped with VMS. Meridiano, via an exclusive license of pelagic data systems, provider of this solar-powered, cost-efficient VSM technology, have introduced the innovative solution in the EU and the neighboring regions. It aims to provide a low-cost technology for the authorities and fishermen. It aims to establish Meridiano as a leading technology provider for coastal small-scale fisheries and to adapt advanced analytics to the needs of the EU fisheries using AI and machine learning. And of course, we need to establish the assembly of the VMS hardware in the EU, and specifically in Portugal. The specialized and expert team of Meridiano, who unites professionals from different walks of life that have already worked together in the GFCM FAO pilot tests and in Morocco in actual applications, reaches fishermen, fishery managers, and national and regional authorities in the EU via pilot applications and deployment of its commercial policy, interaction with the EU and national authorities for integration of GSM-based solutions in vessel monitoring systems for small-scale fisheries, manufacturing and assembly facilities in Portugal for local production, control center and data collection, processing centers, continued adaptation of AI algorithms, communication and dissemination. Meridiano helps small-scale fisheries as the adoption of the advanced analytics-based technology with detailed information on their activity allows them to operate in an organized and professional way, avoiding illegal activity and bycatches and receiving premium value for the catches. It helps national and regional authorities and marine protected areas, providing a cost-effective tool for monitoring and regulation of fishing activity, thus protecting resources and ecosystems. It allows the national and EU authorities to effectively apply the new legislation for VMS for small-scale fisheries with significantly lower cost to existing technologies. Given that the EU promotes that the blue economy is the pathway to the Green Deal and an avenue to actually recover socially, environmentally, and financially in the aftermath of the pandemic, Meridiano proposes a technology fully aligned with the Green-Blue Deal, promoting SDG 14 and contributing to the ocean environment protection and to sustainable fisheries and livelihoods for fishers. Effectively, Meridiano acts as a hub that brings together ocean technologies from the US that through Lisbon and Portugal can reach the EU, including Greece, where I'm based, and its neighboring countries from North Africa to the Black Sea, and countries as far as Timor-Leste and Mozambique. Thank you very much for having me, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person in the near future.
Thank you, Pelagic Data Meridiano Abstrato. Again, Eureka Meets the Atlantic is all about this, is to bring also new players around the table so that companies here in Portugal and companies that are incorporating in Portugal and companies that hopefully are following us remotely can connect and make good projects aligned with the challenges that we will have in the coming years. Then we have a research institution, ISEP, that is remote participating and will share the presentation. And this is the last presentation of the panel. So please, Isabel, you may take the floor. Isabel, you may take the floor.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Not yet, but we can see you.
Not yet. Okay, good. Let me share it. Is it good now?
Yes, you may start, please.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon to all. So I am a professor, coordinator professor at ISEP, o Instituto Superior de Engenharia do Porto. We are an academic player in the Eureka network. And I'm here to talk, of course, about some of the experience of my institution at Eureka clusters and networks. But of course, that is all about also my own experience with Eureka. And just some short numbers about our institution. We have several bachelor's and master degrees. We have 10 research groups actively involved in research projects. Actually, we are running 75 projects, and we host several PhD students in our research centers. And to give you some numbers related with the Eureka experience, we've been participating since 2013. There was, as you can see here, some kind of a gap that I will try to explain a bit later. And then we are active and we have a regular presence in Eureka projects. I say also that in our background, usually we have more ITEA projects and a small portion of Celtic projects. We are involved in projects from the different challenges: smart energy, safety and security, smart industry, smart engineering, and smart health. And these numbers are increasing. I can also let you know that we have 4 approved projects that are waiting for the national call. And also, like Rita said at the beginning, yesterday was the deadline for the call on artificial intelligence. And I know that I don't have solid numbers now, but I'm sure that we have over 3 submissions. So we are really waiting for the call to open next week to be sure we go forward with these new initiatives. Yes, it's a lot about my own experience, and I should tell you that my first projects within Eureka were success stories. It was the SEAS project, Smart Energy Aware Systems, the Fuse IT project, bringing together the needs for energy efficiency and cybersecurity in critical buildings, and M2M Grids, a project regarding IoT and IoT in the context of manufacturing. And this was indeed a very good start, as SEAS has won the Award of Excellence in 2017, and Fuse IT also had the Award of Excellence in 2018. But what I can also tell you about my experience with Eureka is that it is a lot about building bridges and building bridges between countries and international collaborations, not only within Europe, but also outside. And we heard already some examples about it. But it's also about building bridges between academia and business, and both from the big industries point of view, also with big players from Europe like Airbus, ENGIE, Nokia, Ericsson, and Philips. But it's also about building bridges between academia and academia, And I can also highlight here some of the higher education institutions and research centers that we have a good partnership since the beginning of our participation. But it's also building bridges for innovations with SMEs, and we heard already Sistrate, a good example of that, but there are other SMEs that are with us building bridges within this Eureka experience. But there's also another very important bridge that was built on the top of this Eureka experience, which was building bridges for new opportunities into other kinds of international collaboration, like somehow the seed to go on to other types of partnership within other working programs. I was also reflecting about what can I say about strengths and the weaknesses of this experience and of this kind of collaboration with companies. And there are an important issue, of course. The success rate usually is a bit more friendly than what we can have in other working programs. It is a flexible international consortium, so that makes us be part of a good cooperation with big industries, but we have the flexibility to bring new kinds of partners. It's the perfect environment to take the best of the collaboration between academia and industry, much of this because of the engagement of SMEs into this network. And very important as well, I always found ITEA, which is my main experience, a community with very professional and very friendly people, which for sure gives the basis for a strong cooperation and achieving good results.
Isabel, please conclude. Sorry, please conclude.
Another important, okay, so there are some other weaknesses. And if I can say a word, it is that we can do even better. Let's shorten the country decision timings after FPP approval. Let's open regular calls to avoid some gaps and synchronize national calls with Eureka calls. And let's keep it simple. And I'm sure Portuguese presidency will be able to go further with this. Thank you, and yeah, shorter.
Thank you, Isabel. I think we need really to wrap up the panel. I just want to say a few words very briefly. So I think there was some messages here from the companies that are using the Eureka instruments that there needs some more agility and alignment of the funding, and this is not only for Portugal. I don't know how many countries are assisting remotely from the other members of Eureka, but I think this is a common message of innovation should be fast. I heard this. One of the colleagues of the Eureka says this very many times. And I would like to say also that these examples show some of the champions here in Portugal that are using this instrument to build cooperation, and I use the words of Isabel on building bridges, and I think that was a quite interesting example at various levels. But I think, and we hope that this serves as inspiration for other companies within Portugal and also following remotely, that they can use Eureka more to build these bridges. And I would like to conclude, and thank you very much, Oni. We don't have time for Q&A. And let's continue with the session for the next panel. Thank you very much. So, continue here the session. We are proceeding to panel 3, where we have quite an ambitious title, Portugal, Europe and the Evolving Nature of Eureka. And we will have as moderator Ana Neves she's a coordinator from Perin and also Deputy Eureka Chair for the Portuguese Presidency. And inviting to the panel, I would invite the President of ANI, Joana Mendonça, Rodrigo Pascoal from Critical Software, Greg Dungan from Abalobi, he has a video, he will participate remotely. I would invite CAFA, that is here, Maria Gabriela Madeira, to come to the panel. And also, lastly, but not least, the Vice President of FCT, José Paulo Esperança, to come to the stage, please. Thank you. And Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and I welcome all the panelists for this panel. Portugal, Europe, and the evolving nature of Eureka. So we are running late, so we'll see how we can catch up with the time, but still we have some messages that we have to hear from our speakers today. So I will start with Joana Mendonça. She's the president of ANI, the National Innovation Agency. And please, Joana, can you give us some ideas on Portugal, Europe, and the evolving nature of Eureka? Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Is this on? Yeah. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Miguel. We haven't had a chance to greet each other. It's nice to see you. Thank you, everybody, for the effort of organizing not just this session, but actually everything that was made to make this session possible. Given that we are on the third panel of this event and everything that was already mentioned, I just wanted to add a few notes to what was being said. So as Rita well presented, our participation in Eureka has been long, since the beginning. We were one of the founding members, and we are now starting tomorrow, I guess, the day after tomorrow, our third presidency. And I'd just like to take a few notes. One of the issues that Rita mentioned, and actually then Emir also mentioned in the end, is the role of networks. Of course, you might tell me, well, we have other sources of networks, other networks where we participate, but Eureka has some special characteristics, not just by the dimension of the network as the largest R&D network in the world with 42 participations, 42 countries, and it is a network that allows us to participate and to develop projects with partnering countries with whom other networks are not usually allow us to. So this is one of the key issues, is networks to develop R&D and to develop close to the market projects. I really enjoyed João from Sociedade, which actually showed an image that I usually start my classes on innovation with, which is the role of innovation in economic development. And the need to speed of innovation, many people mention here this need. And of course, sometimes the mechanisms are not as efficient as companies or as we require. But independently of that, this allows us to develop innovation in this modus of openness and collaboration that networks allow. And this many times means making bridges, as Isabel also said, and Emir got the question, making bridges not just between countries, but between institutions, many times between competing institutions that come together to get together for the same goal. Of course, the participation of Portuguese participation in Eureka has been increasing over time, particularly since 2017. And we hope that this presidency will make these numbers growing even more, not just in terms of participation, but actually opening the number of partners with whom we participate and bring together new partners that they haven't had the chance to join the network. So this is our main goal, differentiate and enlarge the network, so that's a challenge. And of course, another issue that addresses, I think, the need is the flexibility of the Eureka instruments, which is a bit different from other R&D programs. and also the bottom-up nature of the calls of Eureka. So we have a big challenge ahead with the Eureka presidency. I also believe that the nature of our own organization of the presidency is in itself a form of collaboration, because we got together the innovation agencies working very closely, of course under the umbrella of Perin, working very closely with the Air Center, and having Professor Paulo Ferrão chairing the presidency, which is also an example of internal collaboration to promote the network. So I look forward for the organization of the Global Innovation Summit that we have ahead of us, and the ministerial meeting, and this is a big challenge also for us, and you can also count on the Innovation Agency to promote the network and to make this successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Joana, and thank you for big messages in very short time. Thank you. And so the floor now is for Rodrigo Pascual from Critical Software. So what are your ideas for an evolving nature of Eureka?
Sorry, I had a presentation, but just leave it. We are out of time, and it will be better like that. Otherwise, Miguel will not talk today to close it. So what I wanted to provide you a bit was the perspective of a company that is not a startup like some of the others that have presented before, and actually to explain you how the collaboration within such programs, not Eureka at the time, have contributed to evolve from a company that was founded in 1998 by some 3 PhD students in Coimbra that were working in fault injection in critical systems. So there were these papers that they published created some attention, and they were contacted by NASA. So NASA was our very first client back in '98. And this company continued to evolve from Coimbra, focused always on ambient technology, on critical systems, continued to evolve until today, where we are about 900 with a spin-off with BMW that has another 900 persons, divided in 3 divisions, one of them working in high-integrity systems still, so still having solutions to space, but also to aeronautics, to transportation, to defense, with other divisions working on energy markets, on financial solutions. And all this was possible because of collaborations such as the Eureka. In my slides I had 3 examples of such programs. I will not go into details, but one of them, for instance, Ammon, was about monitoring huge geographical extensions in real time. This allowed us to collaborate with research institutes and with companies in UK that then became our clients there. And the technology and the partnerships that have been developed within this project have allowed us to have the company in UK that today represents about 1/3 of the group. So then other project that I had here, and it's very present today with all the action of PT Space, was a program called MAGES, and at the time we studied what Galileo EGNOS could, what type of solutions could be brought with the Galileo EGNOS for response to emergency situations. The solutions that have been developed there have founded what is today our command and control solutions that in defense, for instance, serve our armed forces, and what the intervention in República Centro-Africana, but are also used by the marine forces of Ireland and some other partners. I had a third project called Melodies that was studying the solutions that could be created by open data, and created a couple of mock-ups at the time, let's call it like that, with open data from a satellite and from aggregating other sources of data from smart cities and sensors. So we have created a series of solutions that then allowed us to work, for instance, with the World Bank to investigate the risk of flooding in Rio de Janeiro and other kind of solutions. Well, all in all, this kind of programs, what allows us is to have partnerships with academy. It allows us to incorporate knowledge and resources that a normal company cannot just simply have laying there with this kind of knowledge. So we can grab this knowledge and incorporate it with our developments. It allows us also to partner with other industries, with other companies. So allows us to incorporate their requirements since the beginning when we are thinking about the development that we are making, and allows us to network. So to grow, to export, Critical today makes about 20% of its business here in Portugal. All the rest is abroad. Just to finish, not all works so well in these programs. I have to admit that the time for decisions are of urgency in this, and the programs usually are too long to decide. The system of calls is not always aligned with the timing for the market, and the bureaucratic load of these projects is very heavy. For a company like us, it's heavy. I cannot imagine for a startup. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. And yes, but besides that burden, Eureka was very interesting for your company. So it's very good to know, and it's very good to know that we have Eureka ahead of us, and it will improve our companies for sure. So now the floor is a video recording, all right? So we'll have Abalobi, Greg Duggan. So the video, please.
Hello, I'm Greg Duggan from Abalobi. We'd like to extend our sincere thanks to the organizers and to the audience for the opportunity to present to you today. I'd like to talk to you a bit about Abalobi and provide you with a brief overview of some of the key features of our Fisher-driven model. Abalobi means fishers in isiXhosa. We're an African-based social enterprise with global reach. Our mission is to contribute to thriving, equitable, and sustainable small-scale fishing communities in Africa and beyond, through the joint development of what we refer to as technology for good. We achieve our objectives through a unique combination of technology and community upliftment and training, underpinned by a co-design approach. Our suite of interconnected mobile smartphone applications is designed with fishers and other fisheries stakeholders to address the most pressing challenges facing fisheries today. Underpinning our technologies is a strong community development ethos, which focuses on capacity building, organizational development for fishers cooperatives, infrastructure provision and development, and training that supports enhanced cold chains, quality control, and value-added products. So you may be asking, why small-scale fisheries? Well, we know that at least 10% of the world's population relies on fishing for their livelihoods, and that despite their vital role in food security, nearly 6 million fishers worldwide still earn less than $1 a day. We also know that the blue economy is a massive global employer, and that roughly 50% of all global seafood catch originates in small-scale fisheries, supporting 60 million fishers and their 160 million dependents worldwide. Yet what we also know is that small-scale fisheries are largely excluded from sustainable development. They lack the governance structures and formal recognition, and are really considered data poor, leaving them invisible in both market and management spheres. That's really where Abalobi comes in. As a fisher-driven enterprise, we work from the ground up to build solutions that address these challenges and empower fishers with the technology and the training to engage in markets, management, and the fourth industrial revolution on an equal footing. Our Fisher app is the foundation of our tech suite of interconnected mobile smartphone applications for small-scale fishers. Fisher app is free, and it was initially developed with fishers in South Africa, but it is currently being piloted in sites around the world, including the Seychelles, Mauritius, France, Ireland, Chile, and Peru. The app gives small-scale fishers the opportunity to create a digital footprint by logging their catches, expenses, and accessing critical information such as weather forecasting and sea state information. Critically, fishers own their own data at all times in this model, and we as Abalobi merely process it into simple data visualizations that can enhance their livelihoods and their planning. We've seen how the Fisher app, for example, has enabled fishers to prove their livelihood to government officials or in accessing financial services, things that they would never normally have been able to do previously, but that they can do now with a digital identity and proof of their livelihood. The Marketplace app is the next step in the fisher journey. This novel digital seafood market enables small-scale fishers to place their fresh catch of the day for sale directly to consumers, cutting out middle persons and securing considerably higher prices for their catch. As a result of their participation in the marketplace, for example, we've seen an average fourfold increase in fishers' income since our launch in 2018. On the consumer side, buyers can scan a QR code that accompanies each fish along its journey, accessing critical traceability and cold chain data and learning about the entire journey of the fish from hook to cook, including who caught the fish, where it was caught, how it was caught, as well as the sustainability status of that species. The marketplace not only creates ultra-short, hyper-local supply chains for fresh artisanal seafood, but also provides an opportunity for us to recognize and formalize the roles of women in the seafood supply chain. All too often, we see how women's roles in small-scale fisheries are not recognized and their contributions not properly remunerated. By incorporating women fishers, processors, quality control officers, and value-added product producers into the marketplace platform, we can ensure that their work is fairly remunerated through our digital payment gateways. With all this said, though, tech is nothing without the necessary training and support to meaningfully engage with and use it, particularly in the small-scale fisheries context, which is typified by low education and literacy levels. In consultation with fishers, we co-designed a suite of training tools and programs that address their biggest needs, including training in ICTs, financial literacy, and cold chain development, to name just a few. We use fisher-to-fisher exchanges between countries and communities conducted remotely since COVID to facilitate knowledge sharing and lessons learned along the way, as well as introducing fishers to the end consumers of their catch. For example, running engagements where fishers learn firsthand from chefs how they prepared the fish and what specific quality control indicators chefs and consumers are looking for in their fresh seafood. In this way, we're really able to forge meaningful connections between the supplier and the buyer that would normally not take place in a conventional seafood supply chain. But really what underpins our entire approach as an organization is co-design. For us, that co-design informs everything from the apps to our training modules. And it means engaging early, continuously, and deeply with the end users of our products and services. It's meant for us engaging with fishers and establishing dedicated co-design groups in the communities and countries we work in to constantly gather their feedback and evolve our solutions in line with their needs. The result is really a suite of app tools and training materials that are fit for purpose, that are informed by the fishers' contextually defined challenges and needs, and as a result are readily taken up by the fishers in their daily lives and work. Building on this, we also train community coaches and champions who further facilitate support and really allow knowledge sharing in the communities. And this really reinforces our bottom-up approach to small-scale fishing community upliftment. So that's a brief overview of Abelobi and the Abelobi Way and some of our key technologies. We're rapidly scaling our program internationally, and we always welcome any queries or comments, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, our sincere thanks to you, the audience, and the organizers for the opportunity to present to you today. Thank you.
So a very interesting case of a social enterprise with global reach. So a very good example of blue economy that relies under this Eureka meets the Atlantic. And so the floor now is for Maria Gabriela Madeira from CAFA, please. Okay, so and you are? Maria Inês Costa, welcome.
So, first of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm Maria Inês Costa, R&D Director from CAFA. Maria Gabriela was not able to come today. So I will present our Eureka project. Our Eureka project was named CAFA Key Coffee, and our goals was define and maintain the organoleptic characteristic of coffee, regardless the batch or the year of the harvest. Coffee has a lot of change during the year and year past year, so it's important to us to receive the data about the culture, about the weather, about the changings of the climate that can create variability in the coffee. So in the industry, we can predict how to reduce the variability in the organoleptic sensory of the coffee. So we study all the climate changes. We have the information on weather events in different geographics to be able to predict the quality that we will receive with time, to achieve occurrence and speeds in meteorological information, and aerial or space image of field in different spectra. It was very important to assess the health and the quality of the coffee that we will receive. In the production line, we need to operation the setting points. Then we give the quality received. We understand what we can do in the factory, what the change that we need to do in the roastery, in the grinding, so we can achieve the coffee that we want, and increase the knowledge of all the operation sector and the technology in the industry. And also we have the consumer demand and the trend market. We are a company that produces coffee pods, plastic and aluminum coffee pods, and now we are studying the compost and biodegradable coffee pods to have an ecological footprint of a product, and also sustainable practice of production to capsule degradation to improve the plastic. With the Eureka project, we will be able to increase a lot of our profit, as you can see, but we also could give more jobs. We start with 40 people, and now we are more than 100 people in the company in our area. So we have a lot of jobs, and we also would be able to increase the exportation products to other countries. So Eureka was very good to us to improve in the company. So I was really brief, so the other ones can talk. Thank you.
Thank you for being so brief and still to present the importance of climate to the success of your project. So space, earth are here the main components. Thank you very much. And so we are going for our last speaker. José Paulo Esperança is the Vice President of Fundação para a Ciência e Tecnologia and the Deputy High-Level Representative for the Portuguese Eureka Chairmanship. Please.
The simple message is that Eureka is at the core of cooperation and international cooperation. Portugal joined Eureka, was one of the founding members in 1985. That was before 1 year earlier than joining the European Union. So we were one of the 17 or 18 countries that created Eureka. And indeed, since then, we had 2 presidencies, and we had many projects and many cases of cooperation, international cooperation, that really opened up the cooperation, the international cooperation, which was not very common at the time. So that was really quite an achievement. The Portuguese presidencies were very ambitious. So the one in 1978 and now and 2008, 2009, and all these presidencies always contributed to the expansion of the program and to a stronger engagement of the Portuguese companies in very different industries. Indeed, we had both the traditional industries, like in agriculture, in textiles, in food transformation, for instance, and our companies benefited enormously. We now have very strong exporters who really started in that area. One industry, for instance, that benefited enormously was the molds and dyes from Marinha Grande. There was an important meeting over there. And also at the international arena, there was an important meeting in Macau that really was called Eureka Meets Asia. And that was also an important moment. And I would like just to complete saying that, of course, the new presidency that is starting, we are on the eve of the beginning, and that will be led by Miguel Bello, is just as ambitious and even more international in its scope. With presence in at the Americas, Africa, and other places. So, but I would like just to mention something. By the way, when Portugal joined the Eureka, the FCT didn't exist yet. It was GNICT who really was associated to Eureka and was very important in the founding of this great association. And I would like just to mention that, of course, international cooperation is something that is very important. So at FCT, we do support one initiative that goes for the broad name of Go Portugal. And we have important cooperations, both with US institutions and European institutions. And we had in this conference one session by CMU in which there was a presentation of about five unicorns that really were stemmed from this program. So we have Farfetch, OutSystems, TalkDesk, Feedzai, that's the newest one, and Mambu is also another company that is now worth over 1,000 million euros. Unfortunately, not headquartered in Portugal, but in Berlin. However, they are working hard to bring them at least a subsidiary over to Portugal. So international cooperation creates great opportunities, and that's my final message. Thank you again.
So thank you very much for presenting some of the milestones and on the evolution of Eureka since inception. And now Eureka meets the Atlantic is our challenge ahead of us for the next year. Thank you very much for all the panelists. And now we are going to the conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you very much to the panel. And last but not least, for the concluding remarks, I would like to invite the Minister of Science, Technology and Higher Education, Professor Manuel Elter, to close the session on Eureka Meets Atlantic. Thank you.
you are with a tie and with a coat, so you should close the session, but I'll be very brief. Just to remember why we have accepted to have for the next year the presidency of Eureka. Eureka was created some decades ago under the idea of open collaborative research. And that was really very new 40 years ago. And some of us do believe this is important for the future and for future generations. Actually, the challenges are enormous. And what we have understood over the last 40 years is that Eureka is a quality label to address complex problems, certainly through open collaborative research. Certainly, the world today and the world 40 years ago are completely different, even in Europe. Actually, Eureka was formed before the European framework programs has gained the relevance that they have now. But again, the Eureka label keeps this idea of quality, open, collaborative research. It is not a really interesting program for funding. There are much more interesting programs for direct funding, but through Eureka, as actually CAFA example was very interesting, we know that it has become a quality label to build synergies among different partners and to facilitate, certainly, access to funding. 25 years ago, when José Maria Ngago took the lead of this program, we launched the idea by that time of Portugal meets Asia. Again, by that time, the relation between Europe and the world were very critical, and the relation with Asia, and China in particular, was a big point of attraction. We know that the world changed very much in the last 25 years. And actually, the recent alterations in the political context for the United States have opened a new framework of collaboration for the Atlantic. And therefore, we decided to focus the next Portuguese presidency of Eureka on the Atlantic. Also because, in the meantime, we have created, when Paulo Ferrão was president of the Portuguese Science Foundation, the Atlantic International Research Center, and then we have attracted many people worldwide to work in this center, including Miguel Bello, the current CEO that left Spain to come to work in Portugal, which is not very common to have Spanish people coming to Portugal to lead an organization. So we understand that our positioning in the Atlantic through the Air Center would facilitate north-south, southeast, west-east, east-west collaboration with the idea that the Atlantic itself could be a platform for open collaborative research, certainly addressing synergies between European funding sources, North American, South American, and potential African funding sources. Addressing issues which we know that can only be addressed with open collaborative research. The best story could be definitely the one the United Nations launched in the last development report by focusing attention on a key issue, which is plastics in the depth of the ocean, which again is an enormous complex problem that no one knows to address and probably can only be tackled with open collaborative research by bringing together different funding sources, different type of institutions, and again we found that Eureka label and the Eureka platform could be an interesting way to address such a challenge. Other key challenges which the Atlantic may provide a unique opportunity is for the unequal access to food. While, for instance, in Europe and the United States, we have the most expensive food systems at the world level, we know that there are children in Africa striving for food and people dying in sub-Saharan Africa without food, and definitely we need to open a science-based approach, which again can only to food systems, which may include or should include a better approach to genetically modified food. So examples like these, which have called our attention for the need to keep putting pressure on open collaborative research and the synergies about different funding sources, and concentrate now on the new opportunities the Atlantic open, and providing this through the Atlantic International Research Center. Focusing on such a large context like the Atlantic, we know that this is also an opportunity because we have experience over the last decades, and particularly the last few years, the emergence of a few new technical systems, particularly based on the miniaturization of sensors located in low-orbit satellites, which do provide high-resolution image that may allow us to do better in terms of the greening of our societies if we are smart enough to build open collaborative platforms integrating satellite image with in-situ sensors and advanced information systems, probably using artificial intelligence of other advancing processing systems. Again, the Earth Center in one way, and the Eureka a platform attract and combine a number of different partners that we believe can better facilitate this process. And therefore, the Portuguese government decided to accept the new presidency of Eureka, given to the Earth Center the leading role in this process, and we have invited Miguel and Bello, the CEO Earth Center, to lead and to be the president of the Eureka platform, seconded by Paulo Ferrão, that is also the president of the General Board of the Earth Center, not only to give a better visibility to the Earth Center, but because the Earth Center over the last 4 years have provided a multi-institutional, multi-country platform, which is very much adapted to what we understand the Eureka label means to the world and to Europe in particular. Telling this and telling, say, why Atlantic, why Eureka meets the Atlantic, and why the Earth Center, we have also, as now Portuguese government, one strategy in mind, which is, in the next years, to double our capacity to attract European funds for activities in Portugal. And so this is certainly not completely out of the strategy to use the Eureka together with the Earth Center to bring more activities and to increase the value of the Atlantic positioning of Portugal in the European context, and open new opportunities for Europe at large. What we don't want is to do it, or we know that we cannot do it alone, so we want to open this to certainly other European countries, but in general to all those participating in the Eureka platform. Today, I believe, there are 47 different countries, including some African countries, also some Latin American countries. Actually, together with Miguel, we have also already discussed the opportunities for Brazilian states and potentially Brazil as a country also to become partner of Eureka. Other countries like Argentina or Mexico are already involved, and therefore there are a number of issues which could be addressed, always in mind that Eureka is a quality label for open collaborative research and do provide or do facilitate access to different funding mechanisms in different parts of the world. But itself, the value of Eureka is far beyond a funding agency. There are other funding agencies and funding programs in Europe which are much more interesting as direct funding instruments. But again, Eureka and Eureka value is become, we believe, very important in terms of the way we understand, can fight against the continuous privatization of knowledge in many of our economies and societies, and still bring to the center of the discussion the values of open collaborative research in a way that certainly companies in general create value and raise funding, but also research institutions and science in general can create new ways to collaborate with institutions throughout the world. So please address all the difficult questions to Miguel and to Paulo. They are those in charge of making Eureka meets Asia, meets Atlantic a reality. We have now the plan to organize this type of events together with the business-to-business and research-to-business platforms in New York City, in Boston, in Rio de Janeiro, but also in South Africa and probably in other parts of Africa, particularly in Morocco. And I hope that over the coming year, the idea is to provide new business to research and research to business platforms through this idea of Eureka meets Asia, also in a way to bring together space technologies with in situ sensors and ideas throughout North and South Atlantic. Thank you very much.
The largest global cooperation network, uniting the world, a new business era, space, ocean, earth interactions, tackling present and future challenges. A greener, digital, and healthier planet, where sustainability leads to a brighter future. A world united by collective research and innovation for economic progress. New achievements, so no one is left behind. Job creation through new market opportunities, led by cutting-edge projects. Welcome to a groundbreaking and sustainable approach for economic growth. Eureka meets the Atlantic.